All right, welcome. Today, let's talk about the single most critical number in your financial life. And nope, it's not your salary or your net worth. Whether you're running a massive company or just, your own household, this one thing tells the real story of your money in real time. We're talking about cash flow.
Okay, so let's dive right in with the puzzle. And this is a puzzle that honestly trips up so many people. We're talking successful business owners, high-income professionals, you name it. It's this really common and, let's be real, often painful financial paradox.
I mean, how frustrating is this question, right? You look at the numbers on paper and everything looks great. Sales are up, your salary is solid, but then you look at your bank account and it just doesn't add up. It's that classic feeling of, winning the game on the scoreboard, but you've got no actual cash in your pocket to celebrate.
And here's the really terrifying part. This isn't some rare thing. Check this out. According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, a staggering 82% of small businesses that fail, it's not because they aren't profitable. Nope. It's because of poor cash flow management. 82%. That is just a massive number.
And that right there brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. Here's a phrase to remember. Profitability is an opinion, but cash flow? Cash flow is a fact. The real secret to financial stability, it's not just about how much you make. It's about getting a handle on where that money actually goes.
So you might be asking, how do we get this so wrong all the time? Well, it's because we do something very human. We mistake the map for the actual territory. We look at our plans, our budgets, our profit reports, and we just assume that's what's really happening. And this really breaks it down perfectly. See, profit, that's really just an accounting idea. It's an opinion. It can include money from sales you've made, but maybe the check hasn't cleared yet. Cash flow, though, cash flow is brutally honest. It's the actual cash you have right now to pay the rent, to pay your team, to buy groceries. You can't pay your bills with profit. You pay them with cold, hard cash. And it's the exact same story with our personal finances, right? Think about it. A budget? That's your game plan. It's your best guess about what you hope will happen. But your cash flow statement? That's the instant replay. It shows you what actually happened on the field. Every little misstep, every surprise bonus, it's the hard evidence of where your money really went. Okay, so if cash flow is the real story of our money, how do we actually read it? Well, the key is to understand that money doesn't just come from one single place. A great way to think about it is like a river that's fed by 3 different streams. And these 3 streams, operating, investment, and financing, they're basically like a diagnostic tool for your finances. When you separate out the money moving through these channels, you get this incredibly clear picture. You don't just see your bank balance, you understand the why behind it. All right, first up, and this is the big one, is your operating flow. This is the engine room of your finances. It's the main current of that river we were talking about, and it answers the most important question of all. Does your main gig, your job, your business, actually bring in enough cash to cover its own costs? If this number is consistently positive, that is the #1 sign of a healthy financial life, period. Next up, we've got investment flow. And here's a little twist. A negative number here can actually be a great sign. Why? Because this is you using cash today to build for tomorrow. You're strategically digging new channels for that river to flow. So buying stocks or new equipment for your business, yeah, it uses up cash now, but the whole point is to generate way more cash down the road. And finally, there's the financing flow. You can think of this as borrowing water from another river to get you through a dry spell. Taking out a loan brings a bunch of cash in. Paying that loan back sends cash out. This stream shows how you're using other people's money. But ultimately, the goal is always for your main river, that operating flow, to be strong enough to not need this one too often. Okay, so we've got the inflows down. Now let's switch gears and go on a hunt for the silent killers of your cash flow. Because a lot of the time, the biggest danger to your money isn't some huge, obvious expense. It's 1,000 tiny, invisible leaks that are draining that critical operating flow. And seriously, do not underestimate these little leaks. We are talking about a huge chunk of your income, like 5 to 15% just vanishing. Poof, gone. These aren't the obvious things like your rent or a car payment. No, these are the ninjas of your budget, quietly slipping away with your money, day in and day out. So, let's put a name to these enemies, right? Because you can't fight what you can't see. First, you've got ant spending.
These are those tiny little purchases, the daily coffee, the snack here and there, that feel like nothing on their own, but together they march away with a fortune. Then you've got ghost spending. Ooh, spooky. These are the forgotten subscriptions and free trials that are just haunting your bank account month after month. And finally, vampire spending. This is the stuff that just slowly sucks your money away through wastefulness. Like leaving all your electronics on standby, constantly draining power.
All right, we figured out the problem, we've named our enemies. Now comes the fun part, taking back control. Let's look at two really powerful, proven frameworks that can help you get a proactive grip on your cash flow.
First, there's the classic and, beautifully simple 50-30-20 rule. It's so popular because it's just a super clear guide. The idea is you take your after-tax income and 50% of it goes to your absolute needs. Housing, food, that stuff. 30% goes to your wants, the fun things that make life worth living. And then a really powerful 20% goes straight to savings and paying off debt. It's not about being restrictive, it's all about finding a healthy balance.
Now, if you want something a bit more hands-on, you have to check out the Kakeibo method. It's this brilliant Japanese approach that's less about strict percentages and way more about mindfulness. You actually physically write down your spending into 4 main categories. And by doing that, you build this real conscious connection to your money. And at the end of the month, you don't just ask, where did my money go? You ask a much more important question. How did that spending actually make me feel?
When it comes down to it, getting a handle on your cash flow, it isn't just a defensive game of avoiding debt. No, it's actually the single most powerful offensive tool you have to go out and actively build the life you really want. So I want to leave you with this thought. Every single dollar that flows through your life, in or out, it's a vote. It's a vote for the kind of future you are creating for yourself. And once you master its movement, you're not just a passenger along for the ride anymore. No way. You become the architect. Thanks for joining me.